Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This week is show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural fantasy and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Devil May Cry Season 1, Episode 7. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So the opening was really interesting because we got Rabbit meeting up with this night demon, which the moment he shows up, I'm like, whoa, wait, are we... I was like, interesting. It's like, I don't fully remember what you look like from DMC1, but I'm like, that looks like you. And especially when Rabbit gets, it's like, oh, you need the blood of both sons of Sparta to make this happen. And so he's the one, because he's the reason why Rabbit has the blue amulet. I was like, interesting. And even Rabbit's like, I know exactly who you are. The fact is, for you to be able to have Virgil's blood and this amulet, like, come on. Which I was like, that's so fascinating, because as I've talked about it, like, obviously this pulls from all the Devil May Cries, but a lot of it is, you know, it's doing its own thing, but it still centers around a lot of DMC3. And it's so interesting because I'm like, that's a DMC1 thing that canonically happens after DMC3, and the DMC3 things that could happen haven't happened yet. So I'm like, I'm so curious to see what the storyline reasons for why you're already like that. I guess it's like we're just removing the DMC3 storyline element of why you ended up the way you did in DMC1. But I was like, that's fascinating. I guess we're just kind of skipping over that, and it's like, yeah, this is what happened. Makes that situation even sadder when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, because it's like, obviously without going into spoilers, but it's pretty clear. So spoilers if you don't want to know, because I don't know if they're going to reveal it next episode, but spoilers for anyone who doesn't know, that's Virgil. And it's like, but it's like, it makes it even sadder because that means Mundus has had him this entire time and turned him into that. Which that's the whole thing of, like, in DMC3, he gets locked into hell trying to fight Mundus and eventually turns into the knight you end up fighting in DMC1, where you're, because, like, obviously, game release order, that was your first introduction to Virgil. DMC3 just gave you context. It'd be like, oh, retroactively, we're making it so this happened and made Virgil end up in a situation when you find him in DMC1. So it's like, but like I said, it makes it even sadder because it's like, right, he's been trapped there for years, but at least Dante and Virgil had their, like, tussle and their meeting of the minds and meeting of the heart type of situation in DMC3, but now it makes it even more tragic because it's like, right, Dante's been under the impression his brother's been dead this entire time, knowing all these years his brother's just been trapped in Makai under Mundus's rule. So that's just fascinating to think about. I don't remember the reasoning why he looks the way he does. I don't remember, like, why Mundus, like, made him look like that. Maybe it was just to kind of keep him. Maybe it's also, like, self-preservation, because it's like, if he looked the way he does as a human, like the half-breed that he is, then that would cause more issue. But it's also interesting because, like, well, we know there's elements, like, without jumping into it, not going massive spoiler, but there's, like, DMC5 stuff that I'm like, would you hint to any of thatness or not? I don't know. I don't know if you'd go that far. Once again, you're pulling from everything and you're just kind of mixing, matching, and doing your own thing with it. So just thought that was fascinating. Like I said, probably massive spoiler, but, like, I don't know if they're going to reveal that next episode, but it's kind of hinting to that, like, who you might be. I think that's pretty clear, but once again, it's that thing of, do I only know that? Does that seem so clear to me because I know DMC? Or is that a thing of even people who aren't familiar with DMC would piece that together, or at least have a good assumption on what that was? Just thought that was such a fascinating scene in its own right. Especially him taking the Force Edge and being like, oh, like, this sword is, like, too much for someone like you. He's like, yes, but to accomplish my mission, I'm going to hold on to it a little bit longer. So, because it's also because, like, he knows, he probably is one of the few people that knows Rabbit's secret that you're actually a human. Because obviously he reveals it later on and talks about, I mean, for one, his big declaration of what he wants to do. He wants to bleed both worlds together because he thinks it's the lesser of two evils. Yes, I'm going to be dooming all the humans here, and most likely millions will die, but millions have died in the demon war in Makai because the Makaians have been subjugated and basically being poisoned as well. So yes, I'm going to end up bringing over the subjugated and the subjugators, but he's like, there's some kind of equilibrium, which I'm like, how would the equilibrium exist? Because most likely Mundus would come over and try and claim this world, but maybe it's a thing of, if one world is Mundus's takeover, maybe Makai will Peter, like, even out. So some, like, maybe the oppressors will kind of take this world, and maybe Makai won't be as polluted, because he even says like, right, it's been polluted like that for centuries, ever since, going through all that it went through because of Sparta. Once again, playing into why he has such beef with Sparta, and as the last episode explained to why he has such beef with Mary. So we do pick up with them, and I love that Dante saved her, and she's like, "Ugh, get off me. Why would you even do that? Like, I needed your help." But then it's like, oh, she sees the building exploded. What's even sadder is she'll never know, because she'll assume like, oh man, like that all happened because the building exploded. So she's thinking like Rabbit killed his own people and my people. To be very kind of did. He set that on emotion knowing it was a possibility. That's why Plasma knew of that, like that countermeasure, and it was all accounted for. So Rabbit knew that was going to happen, but the fact is Lady will never know. Well, Mary, I keep doing that because I'm so used to calling her Lady, because like I said, that's what Dante calls her, but also like I completely forgot her name was Mary, as I brought up like early on, like I think in episode 2 I was like, oh, I completely forgot her name was Mary, because she will always just be Lady to me. But either way, funny once again because Dante does call her that, but she'll never know that Baines gave the order for her people to kill all those Micaians were already dead before the building exploded. The building just took out the people, took out the Dark-Com people. So it's like, oh man, that's even sadder, So, but Mary goes locked and loaded because she wants to go after the Rabbit, because it's about stopping him, but also knowing like why he has personal beef with Dark-Com. That's what this is about. So this is more so my fight. But Dante's like, no, this is mine. My dad sealed away that demon world, so it's up to me to kind of finish this. So it's up to me. And I love Lady just shoots him, and he's like, why the fuck did you shoot me? She's like, are you a dumbass? He needs your blood. So stay here, you idiot. And I love that, because it's like, this would be the situation where Dante kind of rushes off on his own, like I said. But yeah, Lady kind of putting him in his place. It's interesting because when White Rabbit was like, yo, Anders, I need you to do something, I thought the point was, because I was like, oh, he already knows Lady's on her way. It's like, no, he was still expecting Dante, so he didn't know this happened. But I thought like he sent Anders to like free Dante because he saw this all happening. Or I was like, were you watching nearby? It's like, no, he was unaware that Dante was kind of indisposed at the time. But yeah, Lady hijacking the car and everything. In the games, like the main thing that Lady used to get around was a bike. So I was like, it's kind of a shame. I mean, we kind of got some bike action, obviously, on the highway fight with Dante facing off against all 4 of those demons in episode 3. Obviously went crazy by like shooting that truck and dropping its back so that she could jump off of it, go into the sky. It's doing everything she can, action hero style. But yeah, she faces off against I'm about to literally say Rabbit and his squad. And partway through the fight, pulls out her signature weapon. I'm like, yeah! The moment they introduced that a couple episodes back and showed the suitcase, I was like, well, it's got to be in there. I don't remember if I referenced it that episode of like, oh, when she's going to get her signature weapon. And I was like, I don't remember if I referenced it that episode, or because I remember the suitcase, but I definitely don't remember talking about it. But yeah, I knew it was going to happen eventually, because I remember describing it as like, yeah, it's like a grenade, it's a rocket launcher, essentially like a rocket launcher bayonet in a lot of ways. So obviously getting to showcase that and use that, but at the end of the day, she's one human against all the demons and gets paralyzed, and luckily Dante shows up and is like, yeah, all I have to do is just not get hit, and which is also playing into some Devil May Cry stuff, because the stylish rank system, it's like, well, the moment you get hit, you either like it completely nullifies everything or it lowers your rank. So the whole point is the style and combo stuff together, and then also never get hit, so your combo keeps going, so your style points keep going. So it just plays into that a little bit. It's kind of a narrative device used to kind of almost represent a video game mechanic in a way. I think that I don't know if they intentionally planned that, but being like the nerd in me connects those dots, whether or not they intentionally meant it to kind of, I mean, once again, plot device wise, it's like, right, I don't want to get struck. Well, to be fair, he did get hit and tossed, so like his ranking got reset, so it definitely wasn't intentional, but it's just like, once again, my nerd brain kind of connects those dots. Initially, they didn't go into fighting because Rabbit wanted to show Dante, it's like, right, I made it so that these weaker level points in the wall can be open and more stabilized. So I'm gonna show you this world, and it's like, yes, together we can basically undo the wall and crush the wall that your father put up. And it's like we can it's kind of like humans are doomed, but like the Macayans, like we can save them, we can do right by them. But it's like your thoughts of an equilibrium in all of this was like, there's no like, it's not going, because even Dante was like, you think this is paradise? And he's like, yes, compared to where we're from, which is ironic considering someone, but I guess you could make the argument, it's like he was a kid who saw the cruelty of humans at a young age, but he grew up in Mackay, so he knows that world more. He has more of an attachment to that world than the human world, which is ironic considering Dante being half demon, this being the only time he's ever visited Mackay, and then for it to be a thing of, he's more attached to the human world, dysfunction and shitty aspects aside. And I love, he was kind of thinking about what Rabbit said, and Mary's like, do I have to shoot you in the leg again? He's like, honestly, she brings up a good point, so it's kind of a no. And they duke it out, and obviously the winged demon. I love that whole sequence of just him going back and forth in between, like fighting in the Mackay and fighting in the human world, like how that whole shift kept happening back and forth. I was also curious because I was like, oh, did Dante never get his guns repaired? Because he's fighting solely with Rebellion, but then he pulls out the guns later on and it's like, well, he uses up his ammo. I still stress the point, like, I'm pretty sure that's still not Ebony and Ivory, which is so interesting considering, like, even in 3, by that point, Dante already had Ebony and Ivory, so. But they, like I said, they look like regular pistols, so it's getting, like, not unless I'm completely wrong, but I'm still pretty certain that that's not Ebony and Ivory, so. I also loved in that fight when that one demon got split in half by their quote-unquote winged commander, and Dante like took pieces of them and kind of made giant boxing gloves for it. It's so befitting because it's like, I've talked about it before, like Dante, like when he beats bosses, basically some element of them becomes weapons. And so I was trying to remember, it's like, I mean, because Dante's had gauntlets and like for more melee stuff, oh god. I want to say, wasn't it Beowulf in 3? He has one in 4 as well. I don't remember if he has one in 1 or not. I can't remember. I feel like all his weapons in 1 were mainly swords, weren't they? But there were probably others. I feel like he had a fire one in... Maybe that was 1 or maybe that was 4. But he's like, but the thing is, like, they're not giant gloves. They're gauntlets on both of his hands and his legs. So it's interesting, like, but like giving him a giant boxing glove, but I don't think he's had anything 100% like that. And I talked about it, Agni and Rudra, the fire and wind demon, their swords are weapons that Dante gets in Devil May Cry 3. So it's just, once again, it's just like playing into that. He doesn't keep them, but it's just kind of, like I said, winks and nods to the games a little bit of just like utilizing demons and making them into weapons. I thought that was kind of pretty dope. I also loved how that fight with the winged demon like dude ended, where it's just Dante's like using his devil powers a little bit to push him back, and then knocks over the device and the portal closed and just like slices off half his head. I'd also been forgetting to talk about this detail. I think it's interesting. If you look at the outro kind of plays in, the ending credits play into like whatever went down in the episode, and like typically how people or situations play out or people die in the episode will be reflected. Like you see a picture of that demon and there's like a green line through part of his head where his head got sliced off. So it's interesting. Like I just kept forgetting to talk about that detail, but it's been prevalent throughout the entire season. It's just kind of a nice little like detail if you stick around for the credits to pay attention to that. Also, while Dante was fighting the demons in like in Mackay, Rabbit reveals himself because Mary was calling him out, being like, "Are you really doing this for for the Mackayans? You're really doing this for us because I saw your shrine to Darkcom. It's beef with us. That's your real motive." And it's just like, yeah, for him, it's like, yes, it's both, but Darkcom comes first because they're like they're kind of like, it's also like, you stopped me from doing the good I was trying to do years ago. You interfered, and all the people I was trying to save then you murdered. So it's like, yes, I have beef with you. But he reveals himself. Obviously, it's like, right, I am a human. And for Mary, it's like, wow, it's impossible. He's like, yeah, I survived. And this device is filling me with demon blood, and that's what's giving me regenerative which is healing me and keeping me alive. But he's like, it needs to only keep me alive long enough until I accomplish my mission. And so for Mary, it's like, I should have known you were, because she was like, it wasn't us who did that. You were opening a portal. She's not fully apologizing. In retrospect, she recognizes like, right, there was regular people there, but also like there was a giant demon that was chomping on them coming out, but they weren't too concerned about the quote unquote civilians because they didn't know they were civilians at the time. It's just like your demons are demons all throughout. So who cares what might happen to those caught in the collateral. But once again, she now has a different perspective on it, but it still doesn't change the fact is that despite all he says, once again trying to justify it for the sacrifices of the few for the many, it's still the thing of, yeah, you still experimented and cruelly imprisoned your people. And she's like, yeah, should have figured you were human, because only that type of nastiness could come from a human, which he's like, very much agreed. We both agree on that point. But despite everything, like Dante finally gets his necklace back at the end, but then the rabbit's like, just remember, whatever happens next is on you. You had a chance to kind of stop this. And I guess I'm curious to see what that is. And whatever it is, that's what Anders has planned. What he has planned for Anders. Because we see at the end when Baines and some of the others from Darkcom show up along with Enzo, it turns out like Anders is there. So he has some other part to play, which is, I guess, he's probably thinking, my family's still alive and being held captured somewhere. These demons will probably... Two things. One, those demons have to probably hear from Rabbit every so often. If they don't, they kill Anders' children. Two, and what I think is more likely, your daughters have already been dead. They've been dead for a while. It's just Rabbit's been using this to kind of string you along. Like, I think your daughters are already dead. It could be the former, but like I said, I'm leaning more towards the latter of that they're already dead, but we'll see. Now, what that plan is necessarily, we'll have to see, because his whole plan was like open the portals and kind of destroy the wall and bleed both worlds together. Now, I don't know what is his plan like right, just that world naturally, the boundary no longer exists, so it's easier for them to cross over. But maybe the point now is like they're going to full-blown collide and combine and perpetually be stuck in that way. Very much like spoilers, DMC, Devil May Cry, the Ninja Theory reboot, kind of ends like that, where the demon world and human world have basically, they were separated very much like this, but now they're fully connected. It was kind of the same, I guess, in the other Devil May Cries, but it was a lot more like clearer of like, yeah, it's kind of like a parallel existence between the human world and the demon world. So, but now it's like they're melded together and fully like combined by the end. Because like demons are just now a public thing that people know, so I'm assuming that's going to be how it ends. I'm really surprised too, because I'm like, oh, this is how this penultimate episode plays out. It's like, oh, so the season finale must end on a massive cliffhanger then, because we only got one episode left. And I'm assuming Rabbit is dead, but he could always come back. But let's not forget, like, the Force Edge is at the bottom of the water. So either he's still alive and can come back next episode, or is it going to be a thing of he's dead, but someone needs to go down there and retrieve the Force Edge, which there's a good, strong possibility that Night Demon, or Virgil, does it and then brings it back to Mundus, maybe. I mean, I'm sure I could see that being the tease of this season of, like, Mundus is coming type of thing. But, well, a la Thanos is coming type of feel, even though, I was about to say about Thanos predates him probably comic-wise, but, the video game versus, like, the MCU, where most people got associated with Thanos, and DMC obviously pre-existed, but you get the points I'm trying to make. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, where this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. The season finale, rather. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.